I feel like it's that TV station.
I know it's always like, and you're live.
When you guys go on the green rooms and stuff like that, is that what's going on, Brandon? How do you guys just not laugh the entire time? And you got like 150 people telling you what's going
Because
on.
we have a lot of cuts and edits.
Fair.
There's a lot of laughing and tomfoolery for sure.
Well, I am excited to rock it, dude. I am ready to start ripping with you. Fireside chat with Brandon. 8 years. I don't think I've seen it yet. So woo, excited, Brandon.
I know, man. After talking with you, whatever day that was last week, Thursday or Friday or something, I was like, I don't know what we got planned for next week, but it's going to have to back up because I got to get Rhino on and let the team hear exactly what you're doing. So, man, there's, believe it or not, probably a lot of people on here, Ryan, that haven't got to know you yet, don't know your background yet. How long have you been with the company, man?
A little over 8 years.
8 years, okay. And you came from basically running your own organization in a different industry, but you had a little bit of entrepreneurship blood running through you and experience there, right?
Yeah, I would say self-imprisonment, or they call it self-employed. I guess if you want to say that, yeah. 30,000 square foot building and a bunch of employees. Yeah.
Yep. That sounds it sounds fun. I'm assuming it was fun until it wasn't.
Oh no, let's be honest. Sometimes you're so numb to the pain, you think it's fun, but it's just part of the process. So I don't know if I want to call it fun, but yeah.
I know. I think it was Brian Delaney that says it best. He says, you know, when the money you're making begins to cost you too much, that's when you know it's time for a change. So 8 years, you came into the business. You didn't have any insurance experience. You had some sales experience. What was your first experience with Symmetry? Like, you're maybe not even licensed yet. Like, how are you introduced to us?
All right, for everyone that's brand new to the Biller Call, Ryan Miller, Director of Symmetry under the Rob Puckett, Marshall Whalen hierarchy. Welcome. Listen, you're going to get the direct version, Ryan Fireside Chat version. You ready? All right. So I found Symmetry through the death of the family. We lost our dad by an accident. Decided right at that funeral, watching my brothers pour dirt on my dad's casket. That's it. No more time for money exchanges. Closed a 19-year career, $100,000 of debt, $26 to my name, every credit card maxed out. And now, what am I doing? I'm a Craigslist ad, Brandon. I'm a Craigslist ad. Found it on. I'm a $35 Craigslist ad that said, going out and protect.
Oh, you had to pay for that one. It wasn't a free ad. You had to pay $35 for it.
Listen,
or Puckett had to pay $35 for it.
Robin had sent me a bill for it, so it's something maybe we can address after this. But yeah, you know, they said, you know, you need to go out to this national conference. Never had insurance experience. I said, you know what? Went to my wife. I said, I got to go out to this thing, and she's like, why? Well, that's because my wife found an accidental death policy in a garbage bag. And for my mom, my dad paid $600 for this policy, and for my mom, it was a $150,000 policy. So I understood the why behind what we do. And then I heard about this national conference. And Brandon, I've been to 1,000 different conferences. I knew what I didn't want. What I didn't want to see is a bunch of the top people all happy and because those people usually make the most amount of money. But when I got there, I got to be honest, didn't understand what we were talking about, didn't understand the products. I was the first week in that course. And I'm thinking, but here's what I saw. If I was going to have life happen again, this is the type of company, and more important, the type of people and leadership I want to be around. That's what I saw. And I said, you know what? I'm planting my flag. So if everyone wants to know if I sucked at this, I sucked at so many parts, including passing my test. I failed my life insurance test. My wife passed, I failed. So here we go. That started my start at Symmetry. But it was so much I got from that conference, buddy. And thank goodness. And I just want to say, everybody on this call right now, you want these people on your wall. Listen to me. The reason why I'm still here today and why I planted my flag here is because I'm going to stick with the people that take the shots. And, you know, you guys said it on that call when we were at the leader meeting. You said, you know what, guys, you know, we made some mistakes. Guess what? I hope so. I'd rather plant my flag with guys that are willing to take the shot than not the person not take the shot. So the answer is yes. Sign me up. So that's how I found Symmetry, and here we are.
All right. So fast forward maybe 3 to 5 years, how big of a team had you built? And you started with some the warmest of markets, because you have 3 brothers. I know you got 2 of them involved pretty quickly. Yep. Another one came a little bit later. Yep. But how quickly are we talking about? Meaning, well, 3 years later, what was the size of your agency roughly? And I know you don't have all that stuff.
From 600,000 to 4.2 million. 600,000 was with the warm market. We hit a wall because warm market dried up, and I said, "Oh my God, We got to be resilient. We got to do more. Learned about coal market, started coal market. We went from 660,000, 4.2 million to 8 million year 3. And so, and of course, fast forward to where we are.
And what are you on track to do this year?
Between 26 and 28 million. If there's no growth where we're at, I mean, we were 20 million last year without any growth. Man, I am so damn excited about what's coming, man. And it's engagement, the engagement level.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're going to get into. You're almost, are you up almost 100%? You almost doubled from where you were this time just last year?
Am I doubled? Yeah. Well, I'd say not double, because 20 million last year. We're on pace. If nothing happens, from 20 million to 26, 28 million. We're at 7 million for the year right now.
You may grow. Okay. You may grow 50 to 75%. And it feels like you're just getting started. You guys were always kind of first in line. Matter of fact, I've just been texting for a little while with Miranda on some things that she's been doing. Your group of leaders, between you, Carl, Miranda, John, all these people that you had a little bit of a background with, and there's so many other ones, so I shouldn't name names, but these are the ones mainly that we were talking about. They've kind of built the foundation for what you guys have been able to build, but then you branched out. You did a lot more than just warm market recruiting. You did cold market recruiting. The thing I love about your team is they're always the first in line. Every single one of those people are the first in line to say, this is new. I'm willing to try it. Not only am I willing to try it, I'm willing to fall on my face, and I got to figure out how to do this so that everybody else can do this. And that was from the COVID transition to virtual. That has been from the transition to digital leads and switchboard. And now even more so, the word of the year came out in January, and we said engage. And so what really got me excited about getting you on this call is you heard that some things changed for you personally, and you were able to put a lot more kind of time, energy, and focus into the business, and put your focus around the processes that would allow you not only to yourself and your teams engage more, but how you're driving that engagement is so important. Because I'll say this, the most important thing you can do when you're growing an organization, obviously you got to recruit, you got to mentor, you got to build, but you have figured out how to drive engagement so that the people you're bringing in, they know the expectation, and they go out and stay plugged in a way. So that's why I wanted to have you on, because this growth that you're witnessing and experiencing, it is so intentional. And I want to talk about that.
All right. So first of all, can we all put our thinking hats on for a second? I want all of us to think about this right now. Seriously, because honest to God, when I came in here, I already knew one thing. I knew I did not want to be the man. I already knew it. I already knew I did not want to be the guy. I did not want to be the be all end all the agency. I knew that. So if you had to line all of us up, and they talk about, like, when you're recruiting, you want to find better people. Well, here's what I already knew. I already knew I didn't know a lot. I knew I didn't know anything about this insurance business. But when I get to line up with people like Miranda and John and Carl and these leaders on that, the first thing I did is I shoved my ego aside, Casey, and I said, all right, here's what I know. Don't ask me to text you or like type emails, because I already know I'm really bad at that. You want me on the phone? Okay, so let's talk about our strengths. And the thing about it is, right away, I developed this culture of unity, of like, we want the best from and for people, right? Like, we want them to give us all the nuggets, because there is not one way. There's 100 different ways of engagement and process, and there's not one way of all. But I do know this: more is more, not less is more. Not less is more. And when we talk about engagement, the one thing that we ran across, guys, and this is because we built this agency, this huge, amazing business, and our partners and processes and all this stuff. And then my mom gets diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer and is given 6 months to live. You guys, what you built gave me the platform to put my head down for 2 years and get that unity front, that engagement front, everything, where now I can focus on the most important thing, my mom. Now, here's the thing. Back then, 33% was with my mom. Every month we fly out and see my mom, my entire family and I. 1 month we had the entire month, family, kids, everything, right? To give my mom the morning hugs and everything. And we're not talking about how my mom died. We're going to talk about how she lived. Because of this business, my mom lived 3 years. right? And here's the thing about it. During that time, 33% family, my wife and daughter couldn't travel because of COVID, right? 33% mom and 33% the organization. Guys, Casey, all of a sudden, when you pull yourself out from working in the business to all of a sudden you had this engagement piece, this level you working in and on your business. When you pull back, even at that time, what do you think kind of happens with relationships? What do you think happens where all of a sudden you see the fact that we grew so fast, the entire organization, well, then we started breaking further and further apart, not because we didn't find the success. We want to build future leaders and give them the platform. But here's the thing. When that happened, and when finally, after my mom passed, it was over a year ago, right? Celebrate mom. I said, that's it. The year of the engage, guess what? You're going to see full boat, Ryan. Full boat.
And you sent me that text. I'll remember.
I said, get ready, because I am not only all in, but you are going to watch what's going to happen, because I'm going to take adversity and bridge adversity to go from adversity to curiosity. Because let me tell you something, as a leader on this team, okay, I'm going to throw this notion. This is where the engagement, this is where I want to prove to you by numbers why what you're talking about so important. And for you engineer-minded people, I know this is important to you, okay? Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen. I want everybody to make sure you guys can see the numbers. All right, let's take this. Everybody sees it?
Yep.
All right. Now, what is the notion, Brandon and Casey? The top 20% gets 80% of the volume. Not true. Not true. So if you look at January, 33 writers, 962,000, and that's people that wrote over 15,000, under 15,000, 238 writers, 902,000. Notice the issue rate, Casey. When you write bigger premium and you got those individuals, you got lower issue rate. So here's my question for everyone. Everyone look at these numbers. The idea that the top 20% does 80%, that is out the window in my mind. So you want to know why engagement's important? Casey, look at the people under 15,000. What about these people, Casey? So here's the thing. If you guys are developing engagement piece from an organizational level, Casey, are we just that process of, hey, we manage movement? Well, let me ask you, I get that emotionally, guys, why we concentrate on that. But what about these people? What things do you have in place from the organizational level that's not sucking the living life out of you, right? But you have this beautiful area of growth that you're going from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And what about, do you look at this volume and tell me that those people aren't important, Brandon?
No.
Casey?
Absolutely. I mean,
is there any thoughts on that? Like, look at this, guys.
Well, you got to think too. There's so many people that come in here where if I make $100,000, that's 3 times what I was making or 2 times what I was making, or I'm happy as I can be. And it's taking me 20, 25, 30 hours a week. What you do so well is you help people get what they want, not what you think they want, not what you think they should want, not what Ryan wants, but what they want. And that requires a level of engagement, not only from you, but for them too, to get whatever it is that they want.
All right, this is crucial. This is crucial right here. So now all of a sudden, the reason why people, guys, listen, online works, right? Online works, ZipRecruiter works, crazy. The answer is it all works. There's not one way, but my question is, leaders on this call, when you set your standard, are you qualifying people out? See, I'd rather qualify people in when people,
absolutely.
I open my funnel and I let the system qualify them out. See, because I know more is more. And the thing about it is, what systems and environment do you have in place to realize that 43% of the people that you're going to bring in your organization are going to be nurturers? People that may be right or under 15,000. Casey, what about those guys? So when I think about this, the one thing that John, Miranda, Carl, here's the crazy part. Miranda goes, you know what, Ryan? The leaders, man, they're hearing the same voices, and we need to, they came to me, and Carl and John says, I think it's about time that we bring the master back together. So This is the big thing right here, guys. I know that leadership, when you guys are going through this process, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to start talking to you guys here. Okay. So that notion of that whole top 20 that's out the door, right? So now that bottom half's important. How do we get, Casey, more engagement on that? Because I know persistency. I'd rather have 10 $5,000 producers than 150. I know that. So what kind of environment can I put in place from an upline standpoint, from the higher that agency perspective, on what kind of support on the Unity side can I bring from the top down? Because John and Miranda, they said, Ryan, we got to bring it back together. What do we do? Okay. Well, a couple of things we did. We started bringing in a live dialing room. When I say a live dialing room, we're going to talk about these pieces, okay? I'm going to tell you how we can get the bottom half, Brandon, the bottom half more engaged, okay? Because they have a higher issue rate. They're just as important as the few writers. The big writers, they may not have as much need, right? Meaning they're going to go out and run their race anyway. So how do we get the other people more engaged and not more on you? Here's the answer. Unity. What does that start with? It could start with huddles, and we're going to talk about huddles in the live dialing room. Huddles. We do huddles 4 times a week. All of our huddles, 30 minutes long. We do a book review on each huddle. The first thing Miranda, John, and Carl did is they adjusted their huddles. Why, Casey? Because sometimes when we grow so much, I don't want to just work on my base shop. I want to make sure influence is there, and I need to be seen as a leader, right? I need to be engaged in these huddles. I want to be a part of it. I want to see what the next future leadership, and the point of the huddles is to let those people feel good. Huddles in the first part of the morning, not afternoon. And that's just my perspective. Why, Casey? I want people feeling so good that the first thing they go is from feeling good to action. 4 days a week. So question number 1 for leaders on here. Is your huddles all training? Is it just one voice? Because on the huddles, if you get John and I or Miranda, what do you see? Just like you guys do, you see all the bantering. Casey, that is done on purpose. Leaders on this call, why do you think these guys banter? Because they show the level of teamwork. They show the level of unity. They show the level of that fact that Brandon needs something, Casey's all over it. The fact that Carl was going through a tragedy and John and Brandon was willing to get on an airplane and take care of the corporate overview. It's about your like live and die in the push and pull relationship. That's what it's about. So what platforms can you guys put in place that shows the people on the team that you guys are a unit? What do you have put in place today? Because the huddles, we see that. We get that, number 1. We get places for future leaders to be able to put out additional ads and processes and be able to speak, and they feel good. And if they feel good, guess what? I guarantee they're probably going to do a lot better. The one thing we cannot do, guys, is deprive people of the one thing that they may only have, which is hope. So we give them hope and vision and process and clarity, everything based on huddles, right? We give them that jolt. And then we do a unity thing like live dialer. We pull the master together. And so we have a rules of engagement. It's one workplace. We all come in muted. We have breakout rooms. We get the best from the best. We have live dialing from the best. We have watching presentations from the best. We have things like interviewing from the best. You have one room to show people, Casey, when I'm growing my agency and I got my small agency call, that they're part of a bigger picture. This is about vision and clarity, guys. And so it's things like that. It's things like that. So important. Go ahead.
What platform are you using, Ryan, for that?
So we use Zoom.
Okay.
We use Zoom, and so we have one person. So we have several different admin that are on that, and then we just automatically, we know the day before the preset. So like I say, here's the example. I'll share real quick my screen so you guys see. This is the flyer that we put out on Crew for today. Now I didn't show you guys the Zoom number, because I could see the entire call coming on that. So this is telling everybody what the virtual office is going to look like today. So they know what they're going to see from. A little bit of Miranda Martin. You see like a dialer, which is like the head from our marketing room that dials for some of our top producers, for an example. So you get to hear how she's listening, how her demeanor is on call. So new people can plug in. Guys, here's why most people get upset, because they feel like they're not loved on enough by their upline. Do you agree? You put a platform like this in place. Casey, do they feel the love? Do they have an avenue to go to?
Yes.
So you have this live room, and every day we have new breakouts and a schedule that we post on Crew, and the best promoter wins.
Love it. You know, I've seen a few comments in the chat. This is all so good. And then I got a text from John. You know, if your average writer in your organization is averaging, call it $7,500 a premium or $10,000 a premium, or whatever it is, that's a good thing. What you're actually doing is you're providing an atmosphere for people to get better.
That's
right.
it.
Like if you're recruiting enough and people are coming in, some of them are going to be falling out because this isn't a business for everyone. Right. But I need to give them the opportunity to start at a $5,000 producer, to grow to a $10,000 producer, to maybe end up, who knows where. Ryan, you peaked out at probably a $10,000 a month producer, but your eyes were on something completely different. You know, you started building and recruiting and spending time doing other things, creating the atmosphere where people are comfortable getting what they're getting, but also uncomfortable enough to continue to push and grow, but they're given that leeway to do that is so important. So one easy question for you is, you're putting all this stuff in place and you're giving this auditorium, you're giving this platform for people to show up, which actually saves you time. You not being the man saves you time, right? People that come in with the big egos and they feel like they have to be in charge of everything and they're doing everything, that can lead to burnout because you are having to do everything, right? But you have all your leaders, they're in their sweet spot, they're doing what they do. I'm inviting all these people in. You recruit me as an agent. You tell me the expectation. You show what's going to need to happen, where they need to show up and all those things. 2 weeks in, I don't show up. What do you do?
Well, here's the thing. By then, you know, this is the other part of this engagement piece, guys. Why do I have these things like huddles and live? Because I could tell the people that are on it every day, Casey, and all of a sudden doesn't show up. What does that initiate to me? How do we know it's not because they hate the business? Because now I'm more caring about what's going on with the agent. Are you okay? How things going? See, that by going from engagement to somebody stepping away from the campfire, because we have all these engaged pieces, I can sense and see all of a sudden there's a change of pattern. So I'll send out a text message. Like, we have a director of agent experience. So all the agency owners know if something goes on in that agency, if somebody is sick, if somebody has COVID, if somebody, so we know where we're sending gifts out, or like, Uber Eats or whatever it is. It's the small things, guys, because let me tell you something, this is important, right? Your ability to understand that when you're looking at somebody outside of this that is looking at contract rate and that's all they have, and they go, you know what, I don't care about that, but you sent me something when I had my daughter in the hospital and something was going on there, that moment that you actually gave a crap, that Casey, now all of a sudden that person during the tough times, they're going to remember things like that.
Yep.
You're going to remember things like that. So so when you're doing this whole thing by yourself, this is all the leaders on the team here. Guys, I get why you want your own agency. You want your own agency call. I get all that. But Casey, you would agree there's so many changes going on that we have to expect the change, like close the objection before it ever happens. And my question is, if your process you have today, what happens if, Casey, if you bring 50 people in right at that moment? Will that same premise work? Because why is it, Casey, I can recruit all these people, Casey, and you're not getting tons of text messages about Ryan Miller organization. They didn't care about me, Casey. So see how I can recruit at a high level, even if my conversion is crap, Casey. At the end of the day, I have more writers.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And you have less people fleeing the ship because they're actually wanting to be there. They're wanted to be there. You said something, I want to back up and let you expound on this. That feeling that you get when you walk into a Four Seasons and there's this amazing experience and it's beautiful and we're in Costa Rica. And so you did a title change in your organization, and that title change was accompanied by an actual role change. You said that you hired a chief experience officer.
Yeah. Director of agent experience. So like
director of it. So maybe they're not chief. They're working their way up, right? Director of agent experience. Okay. So what is that person in charge of? And give me your philosophy around that.
All right. So listen, you guys can't be everything to everybody. At that point, you're no one to everyone. Okay. So my whole thought process is when you're running like this kind of size, like this is the top leaders on here, what kind of experience when somebody walks into your organization, Casey, are they getting? When you go into a Four Seasons, Casey, you cannot be the guy that's driving, that's unloading the suitcases, that's running off to go get a margarita for them, that's getting them checked in, that's showing them. You can't be that person. So what things do you have in place? So now I have Heather. And so what's so funny is people are coming in. We're looking at general postcards. Welcome to the Miller welcome to the Miller organization. Something gets so cheap and small. How about things like SNAs? She gives me a list of SNAs. We start calling the SNAs and congratulate them on hitting SNA promotion. Her job is to have agents feel so good in that first 2 or 3 weeks of their organization, like the first thing they're seeing. So now how do we get that? It started off with a meet and greet. Things that we got from Jacob Pope. We meet with the people that are licensed, unlicensed once a week, 30 minutes. To welcome them to the team, to meet the future leadership, to know that they have that they're part of something bigger, to know that what they want matters. Because that simple conversation, how do you do these things in the masses is the question. And so our job from the top down is talking to all the admins to get the feelers if there's anything that we need to know and feel, and to help people with experiences. Because I want somebody to go, hey man, what makes you different than somebody else? What makes your organization different? You're either providing good experiences, no experiences, or bad experiences. Guys, no action. You're getting judged with non-action just as you are with action. So my question is, why can't it be positive? Absolutely. So we have this group unity. We have the live dialers. We have the huddles. We're doing postcards. That's going to start going out for the master. We're meeting every week on how we can get better for our leadership. So on the same live dial thing, how many leaders on this call, Brandon, that really doesn't know what a 50% rule is and how that matters and what a healthy organization, Casey, actually looks like, and if you're out of balance or not. So what things are you doing to provide leadership that experience, and not just leadership, multiply the experience? If you ask John Ziller, that relationships are getting a lot better, you're going to see he's had these same principles put in effect.
Absolutely.
So everything is experience, guys. Yep. Everything is.
And so I think the thing I'm loving also is this isn't something that's necessarily brand new. A lot of these fundamentals kind of go back. Your processes have tightened up. You're looking at a lot of new things like onboarding people into a meeting room, like a meet and greet. You've got the 4 times a week huddles. You've got the auditorium where people can come in, go to breakouts, focus on what they want to focus on. The thing I love the most about your organization, and I want to kind of end on this so you can speak to it, is people that were direct to you, people that were under you, so to speak, in your agency, they had the same mindset that you had. They have the same mindset that you have. You're better together. You don't see this splintering of people saying, I'm the man now, I want to go do it myself. You have much more of an understanding of we are so much better and stronger together. This is not a hierarchy thing. This is a partnership thing. And I think that's such a great lesson for new agency owners that are on the call, in addition to the ones that are directs or equity partners or whatever. But as a new agency owner, what advice would you give to them, Ryan? They become an AO.
Yep.
Maybe they feel like they need to kind of branch out. Maybe they need to kind of take some more of the credibility and do their own thing. Sure. Why is that the wrong way to think about it?
So remember, when you branch off, we limit our perspective. And all of a sudden, you're going to find that you're going to see a lot more adversity, what's going on in a smaller group. Because now, if you're the biggest fish on that call, what happens when you're on that call and you got one guy that's the top producer, Brandon, on your call that produces far more than the AO? And if you happen to attach him in a bigger meeting, realize, oh my God, Casey, I'm number 25. Do you see now all of a sudden they need to know that they're in a bigger pool? Listen to me, for people that decide that they want to branch off. We don't escape. We show up to the master calls. Most importantly, guys, we support each other in that way by doing, meaning even if we have, Brandon, a slight disagreement based on philosophy, In the front of the house, I'm going to show unity. In the front of the house, I'm going to show care, love, common respect, because we go way further when we run this race together, way further. And you know what? Your voice is not going to be the only voice that's going to be actually heard and understood. If this, now all of a sudden you feel like you're talking at him, Brandon, you feel like you're sitting talking. And I just want to, if I want to point out one thing, guys, and this is important. John and Miranda, this is a perfect example. Brandon, you know how bad I am with, when I say bad, I am, I wasn't a lead producer. I wasn't that guy. But you know what? When you got people like John and Miranda, for an example, that have this thing that says, don't suck at sales, right? Brandon, you look at the things like this, it's in the simplicity. They want 200 reviews and their release date's coming. But Brandon, this is what I'm talking about. This is about when Whit Zay and Meredith Ellison, and when they got a path that they want everyone to run the race together. Because listen, I am not trying to move like a pile of dirt. I'm trying to move a mountain. And the thing about it, Casey, I cannot do it by myself. And agency owners, when you're building your organization, when you go from, hey, I'm by the way, I'm a follower, but know what, Brandon? I'm at a point where I'm a teacher. The minute you lose the fact that you need to be a student, even as a teacher, stagnation will follow. Listen to me, stagnation will follow if you don't still stick with the masses in some capacity. And Casey, with all the changes, all the good changes, it helps me get in front of all that. It helps me leaning on John Ziller, Miranda Martin, and Carl Miller, and all the leaders, because I don't want to do it by myself. There's too much good stuff. So much easier.
Yep, you're right.
And again, man, I say that, we get in a lot big shoes, man. We get in big shoes to fill, Casey. And sometimes, Casey, tell me it doesn't feel like this. When you're an agency owner, you're like, all right, I can't see. Well, the good news is you got all these people around you supporting you. You got corporate office. Yeah. You will not see me sit there and tell corporate office, hey, listen, I want you guys to continue taking the shots. I want you to continue. Yep. You know what? You miss a shot, Casey, my bet's still on you. That's where my chips are.
I love it, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I love it. I can't tell you how much I love it. Recruiting's also up. We don't have time to talk about that. Maybe we'll get back around to it later, but
way up.
Starts with the front of the funnel.
Wow. You want me
to
to talk numbers? You want me to do numbers? I'll leave it around because we're on.
Yeah, hit it real quick.
All right. So guys, let me give you guys the numbers so you guys have the numbers. So if you guys want to know if I'm recruiting, the answer is yes, I'm recruiting. All right. So January, this is just in ZipRecruiter, guys. 31 appointments, 18 show, 11 hired, 7 packets back. February, 149 actual interview set, 60 show, 36 hired, 18 packets back. March, 241 applications, 241 interview set, 102 show, 61 hired, 25 licensed. And right now we're getting 2 to 3 licensed agents every week. Here's the point I want to make right here. Guys, it's in the habits that create the result. If we can't have more to get more, think about the lessons, Casey, we get by having all these. Listen, if you don't have the emotional energy to take the first interview, Casey, we build the machine. I hire a first interview person. I spend my time on the most productive. Guys, let the system qualify out and bring more people in to gain more, like impacting more people. I want more people to experience this. Don't talk to me about conversion. Talk to me about the level of impact.
Hot dog. Rhino, thank you. Hello. Listen, everybody, if you want some of this action, totally free. Got a podcast launching next week on Tuesday. Go to don'tsuckatsales.com. You can hear from Miranda, and you can hear from the wild child, John Ziller. I love this 12-minute episodes, Rhino.
Hey, listen, here's the thing about these two. I'm going to be honest. Remember, I can't listen, guys. People think I came in, Brandon, understanding I was a manager, Brandon. So you think I understood that when you're in a volunteer, now you have a volunteer army. I already knew when it had to do with sales. You think I was going to sit there and say, John, I know what your experience is, but let me tell you, in service, I got you beat. No, I'm sitting here. John and Miranda early on for 2 years straight did a call for us every Tuesday, and it was their fundamentals.
Yep.
Just snippets. That was the difference with our organization. So I tell you, it's like Voltron, Brandon. You know what happens when you get all the pieces put together? Man, you got one powerful animal. So listen, I'm in for it all. I'm in for the changes. I'm in for that process. Let's get after it. Over to you.
Love you, brother. Thank you, Rhino. It's a round of applause. I can hear it coming from all over virtually. I think you guys are starting to see why I wanted to get him on as quickly as possible. So much intention around building his platform and building his processes to drive engagement. And that's what we're looking for when we say we want the word of the year to be engagement. We need people more engaged. You just heard why that is. So,
and Brandon, I just, for everyone out there that listens to a Ryan Miller and goes, well, easy for him to engage, listen to him. He's just a wild man. He's got, charisma. He's got energy. I don't have that as much. How am I supposed to kind of do what he does? You're missing the whole point of the company and how it's set up from a systematic standpoint. That's why we always say the best leaders with us aren't necessarily the most charismatic or, whatever. It's just that they're really good at creating the right environment. That's why we say they're like traffic cops, or another way you could describe it is like a conductor at a symphony. A conductor at a symphony doesn't even say a word. It's just about creating the right sound and the right environment. And so if you can think of Symmetry and the system and everything you have, including the people on your team, you can lean into kind of that way of being just a conductor and making sure that you're bringing people into the right environment. You don't have to have that Ryan Miller fire. You'll get it though, hanging around the right people. But just wanted to say that because
and man, I had this. He and I were actually talking about this last week, and Ryan considers himself an introvert. A lot of this is learned. A lot of this is intentional. Like you got to bring the fire.
You know what? Tell people before you had me doing conference. Ask Marshall Whalen what I was doing. You got me doing speeches. I'm vomiting in a garbage can. Listen, I'm like, yes. But these guys, my team, Brandon, my leadership, the people that step up, even the fact that, they know, listen, perfection is actually an imperfection, but isn't that family? So these guys give me strength. You guys give me strength. Their corporate office gives me strength. That's why I can stand with this posture, because I'm backed by you.
I love it, man. I love it. All right. I think we got a quick video to segue into something that's going to be really cool in a minute. We're going to hear from Meredith and Ashley Richard. And you're not going to want to miss this, especially if you're the type that likes to have excuses.